Well, good morning, Facebook family, YouTube family. I'm not sure where this video is going to land specifically at this moment, but I do know that I'm going to be sharing it on YouTube for sure, and possibly in my group at Survivors of Abuse on Facebook. I do want to say real quickly, I'm not going to waste a lot of time because yesterday for 4 minutes and 44 seconds, it took 61 minutes to upload my video. I cannot live stream until I get 1,000 subscribers. Well, I have almost 800 on Facebook, but I don't know how that's going to transfer over to our wonderful YouTube, but I'm going to give it a shot. And yesterday I did a video and I was just explaining who I was. Today I'm just going to do a little bit of background on where I came from and how my beginning started with the abuse situation. I was adopted at the age of 2, unbeknownst to me, of course. I didn't find out till many years later why I didn't fit in, why there was so much abuse, why I was treated differently. I could always feel inside of me that something wasn't right, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it, like all the other kids. And there was like 3 of us. So we had me, my sister Brenda, my brother Paul, and my other sister Wanda. My brother was from my mother's second marriage. It was my stepbrother. And he came to live with us a while later. So he wasn't in the beginning of my childhood. But when my mother didn't think she could have children, she adopted me. And she'd adopted a few children before me, or tried to, and failed. And she always wanted a boy. So when she adopted me, she didn't think she could have children. And I guess not long after she adopted me, she got pregnant. And my sister Wanda came along. Now, family timeline's important. And I think adoptions can be really successful. But there are some that are really bad. And in my case, it was bad. For those of you, if you've never heard of a book called A Boy Called It, read that book. Now, my childhood wasn't that bad. But I think any pain you go through as a child, where you are rejected, abandoned, isolated, treated nasty, punished, abused, sexually touched, or whatever the case may be. And then let's take into consideration that both my mother's husbands were alcoholics. So they were verbally, mentally, and physically abusive. And when she wasn't around, they were sexually abusive. So I'm dealing with this from the age of about 3 until I ran away from home at 15. Now, in the beginning, when we lived in the country, my mother had been married to my adopted father, who originally adopted me when I was a child. That didn't work out because he was very abusive and he was an alcoholic, and he used to beat my mother to hell. He really did. He beat her, hit her with bottles, and busted her head open, and he even punched me when I was 5 in the chest and knocked the wind out of me. He was not a nice man. I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand in my child's mind why anybody who has a child could allow these things to happen to them. And I still, even at this point, I've been through some things in my life, so now I understand more. But I'm even more of a firm believer that, children are made to be loved, cherished, protected, and taught. And, I had none of that. So my stepfather, when my mother remarried, my stepfather drove a beer truck. He was a quality beverage driver for Quality Beverage in Pennsylvania. And he would come home drunk every day. And I know that's what led him to do some of the things he probably did. But he had problems with touching children, and he did before he even married my mother. But I never knew that till years later when I was in my healing process. So my mother did not protect me. This is the mother who adopted me, who said she would protect me and love me. And I believe she hated me. I believe she despised me. And everybody in my family did too. And that was really hard growing up, knowing you were not loved or welcome, not understanding why, And so these are just some of the things. This is just a little smidgen. At 4, my uncle babysat me, and while they were away, my parents, he came up and put his hands down my pajama pants and did things to me that a little girl should never have to deal with. And that plagued me for years, like the emotional damage and physical damage that does to someone. I mean, And my life went off the rails for years and years and years. And I'm going to talk about that more in the future with drug addiction, alcoholism, and just a lot of codependent relationships, abusive relationships, because I grew up in it. So therefore it was a template. And I was constantly replicating my relationships through what I learned as a child. And I'm going to cut it off right there for now because I don't want to take forever for this to upload. If you want to know more about me, go to Facebook and look up my Survivors of Abuse group and my Survivors of Mental Health group. And I cannot post any live streams here until I have 1,000 members. So I'm going to try to transfer all my members from Facebook here because I have almost 800. I just need a couple hundred more. You know, and someone says it was a great idea, but I've tried all morning to live stream, and it says you have to have at least, you have to be approved, which I'm verified, but then I have to have 1,000 members, which I don't. So I have to upload this, and I don't have good Wi-Fi. I just have regular mobile phone Wi-Fi, and it takes an hour just to upload this tiny little video that I'm giving you now. I just want you all to know that I'm doing this because I love humanity. I love people, especially people who have been broken and traumatized in their life, and no one's been there for them because I've been that underdog. So I want to be here for you, and I want to help you. And I know I'm just one person, but one person can make a big difference. So I hope you'll join me on my healing journey, which I started a few years ago, from the drugs, the alcohol, the abuse. And it's, you know, I'm definitely not there yet, but, you know, it's been quite an awakening for me. And I hope that I can share some of it with all of you, because I know not having anyone to help or guide or be support, it's just, it's heart-wrenching. It's painful. It's lonely. And I want to be the one to help you realize how valuable and wonderful and worthwhile you are, because I never thought I was. Okay, I'm going to get going. I love you guys. Have a great and awesome day. Remember, you are important. You are worth it. And I love y'all so much. Check out my videos or my groups on Facebook. Please like, share, subscribe. Oh, and pass it on, because if you know somebody who's in a bad relationship, trust and believe, you know, they can use we all can use the help. I was isolated for years, couldn't talk to people, didn't have friends. Nobody understood. And unless you've been through it, you don't understand it. It's just the way it is. So if my experience can help just one person, hallelujah. And I'm also a person of faith. I love God because I know I got shot when I was 29. I almost died. I really did, almost died. But I'm here. Why am I here? I am here because I'm supposed to be making a difference. And I just pray every day that God allows me to do that. All right. Love you guys. Better go, or I'm just going to... Bye.